In my last video, I talked about the challenges Black women are running into in 2025. Over the last 3 months, we have seen over 300,000 Black women lose their jobs. That is more than any other group of workers in the USA. And while there are many factors that are contributing to this, what I want to talk about in this video is what this actually means for Black women and ultimately the harsh reality that it actually exposes. Because the thing is, for decades now, women of all races have really ran with the idea that they basically don't need men. Um, you know, Feminism was about giving women agency to the point to where now a woman can choose if she wants to be in a relationship or not be in a relationship. She can choose to live single for the rest of her life. She can choose to travel abroad. She can choose to be a business owner. She can choose to be a sex worker. Like, feminism really gave women freedom and agency to choose the life that they wanted outside of really interaction with men. But the thing is, in order to have that kind of liberty, there has to be a system and there has to be a society that essentially creates the ability to do so. Put another way, there has to be a consistent amount of infrastructure, programs, security, safety, and resources for women to be able to exist in a reality in which they don't need men. And that's what America and the West had for quite some time, right? The society had gotten so, quote, modernized, unquote, that it gave women the freedom and the luxury to enjoy a lot of comforts and a lot of freedom outside of individual interaction with men. Although many of the comforts and the freedoms that they enjoyed, such as running water, clean air, paved roads, secure buildings, all of those things were the result of men. They didn't need to interact with men in order to get access to those resources. But now that so many things are changing, the job markets are becoming less and less stable, and that is likely to have more and more impacts ultimately on these different industries and ultimately on infrastructure. It's really, in my opinion, forcing women back to the drawing table and having to revisit this whole idea of whether or not they actually do need a man. The harsh reality that many ladies don't want to face is that they actually do. And they always did. Just because a woman can pay her bills or may be able to exist in a nice luxury apartment outside of the input or financial input of somebody else doesn't mean she still can't benefit from men, from maleness. And I am a strong believer that every woman, it doesn't matter if she's married or single or growing, I strongly believe more and more as I just grow and learn and understand the power that femininity and masculinity have, I believe every woman actually needs male leadership. At every given stage in her life, I think women can benefit from male leadership. I'm not saying she just has to pick a random dude off of the street or some pookie who hasn't had a job in the last 15 years and is in and out of jail. She has to go follow him. No, obviously not. But what I'm saying is that I believe that even the most sophisticated, educated woman who feels like they have it all together financially can still benefit from male leadership and input. And you know why I know this? Because even some of the most radical feminist or some of the most I don't need a man, independent boss babes will still have gay male friends that they talk to and lean on when they need emotional validation. They do it all the time. Take, for example, Anwar White, dating coach Anwar White, who is a huge sensation among Black women, particularly educated, college educated, middle and upper middle class Black women. You know, the ones who go to Ivy League schools, you know, the ones who are writing articles about him, who are working in media, who are working in these white collar jobs. They love him. They love him. So that is what I am saying. Even some of the most independent women, some of the most self-sustaining, emotionally, financially stable women are still likely to look for men or male validation in some sense, even if they are not fully consciously aware of it, because I believe that's how God made women. I think that's how God made heterosexual straight women, right? And let's just be clear, we're very comfortable with the idea that men need women, right? We say that all the time, or men need women to procreate, to have kids, et cetera, et cetera. So we're very comfortable with that idea. And I think a lot of men would accept that. They're like, yeah, I had a mom, I came from my mother, so that's not debatable. But I think it's a little harder for women to accept, sometimes just because of a lot of the brainwashing that we've heard over the years. And so one of the things that this economy is actually doing, cutting past the illusion. A woman can live behind the illusion that they don't need men at all, as long as they live in a safe enough society that men have essentially built. But when those safety measures start to erode, when the finances aren't rolling the way they need to, when the government is no longer a safe place to rely, then ladies are left to come to other conclusions. So as challenging as this time might be for some people, I think it's also a great opportunity to reset and to really go back to the basics. Many women have gotten so caught up in their idea of wanting to be an independent boss babe, or essentially live up. Many women have gotten caught up with the ideas of modern femininity that they have lost sight of who God said that they were and are. And God has a really interesting way of humbling those who need to be humbled. Talking from a place of experience, He will send great reminders in life. And I think for many, it's going to come down to, it's okay to admit that you need help. And it's also okay to admit that you actually can't do it by yourself, that you do need leadership, and that you do need accountability. This is why spiritual communities, churches where there are pastors or people or elders that you actually are accountable to, yeah, it actually really is important. And it is particularly important in times like this, where women are in a state of chaos and they simply need direction and guidance. I find that in these kinds of chaotic moments, women today might be tempted to turn to tarot cards, to turn to their witch covens, or to essentially try to control or manipulate the situation using their own means and methods and potions and manifestations, but that cannot deal with the inner chaos that is going on in their soul, in the emotional challenges and all the fear and anxiety and the hormonal changes that come with being a woman. And that's actually what a spiritual community provides. And that's actually the stability, no guidance, and leadership and direction can give you. And you cannot get that in a coven, and you cannot get that in a corporate job. When God said it is not good for man to be alone, that also applied to women. And when God also created women to be a helpmeet, someone that'll come alongside and work with the man, when did we decide as a society that that role was not good enough for women? And is that working for us today?